Hampshire boy.
Hello, Jeremy. Yes, I'm really looking forward to Cheltenham, but my preparations for the festival, which of course begins a week's today, and I'll be doing some stuff on the other channel, was seriously interrupted today as I've given up a few hours of my life to watch the launch of this With Love Meghan documentary. And
before you say anything, I've got a clip. This dropped at 8 o'clock this morning. Shame she didn't. This dropped at 8 o'clock this morning. This can be best described as Meghan's new programme, How to Make a Sandwich whilst a ginger bloke says he loves you. Have a watch.
You see where our rainbow is coming together here? And you don't have to do a big platter of this. You could do this with one small row for your kids for breakfast, genuinely, and it makes the morning a lot more fun. But can I just show you if you just made one? Just a little morning plate. It's a real delight in being able to be a present parent. And it's a luxury sometimes because we all have to work. We all have a lot of stuff to do, but when you can take a minute to just...
Saturday morning.
Yeah. Finding the fun in those moments makes for a really sweet start to the weekend.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Jeremy.
I'm really sorry. That is the biggest load of crap I've ever seen, and I don't sack me. Can I just point something out as a parent with 6 kids? It's so nice to be a present parent. Yeah, whatever, love. Because, you know, I don't have to work. It's Saturday. And then I'm just going to do a beautiful plate of fruit for my children. Let me tell you something, you deranged human being. There are parents who haven't got a millisecond to even have a shower, and she's talking about a beautiful plate of fruit. Try being in my house at 6 o'clock, man, you stupid woman. There's nobody on earth who's going to look at that and not go, you entitled, ridiculous person, Rupert, surely.
And it's not even filmed in her house, so it's not even, it's so fake. There was a production crew of 80, I believe, behind the scenes, sort of piecing it all together in this multi-millionaire neighbour's house. So what you've got is just so fake. It's cringeworthy. What you didn't see is later she puts a bit of yogurt on that plate and says, that can be the clouds. So some of it is just cringe-making. And look, we know that she's trying to rebrand herself, and she talks about...
What, an idiot?
Well, bringing back the Tig brand and her creativity, but she's had all kinds of problems, which she's sort of rewriting history a bit when American Riviera Orchard hit the buffers. So she's now launched the As Ever brand, which is supposed to be linked around this documentary. But it's so divorced from reality. Look, you've been talking about on this programme about the cost of living, whether it be our energy prices, whether food prices because of the farmers. This is so divorced from reality. Look, life is aspirational, and I love a cooking program. I'm happily sit down and watch whatever, you know, because I quite like it. But what I want to see is a degree of authenticity. And I must admit, you know, seeing some of her friends, she's beautifully turned out on every moment. She walks round the garden picking mint in these with a sort of cardigan wrapped round her. It looks so divorced.
There
from
isn't
reality.
a woman. My wife would walk around the garden. She's got a baby and one thing, and a baby shouting, "Mum, I've had a poo," and she's walking around the garden going, "Oh, let's pick some mint." Oh my God! Honestly, I would love, on a serious note, I would love to know who the hell, I mean, literally talks to them about what they should do. I mean, many people saying today that they'll be kissing goodbye to their $100 million streaming deal. Withering reviews already. Was the Ginger Whinger involved? Did he come into the kitchen for a spanking?
He pops up at the end and she congratulates everybody in her family. But I can assure you her hands have not done a day's gardening in their life, because the garden is the most impeccable garden that I've ever seen. So there's obviously a row of staff managing that. It is. This is the problem with
I've
it.
never known
and
you
a lot
so
of her
angry.
friends are coming along. They're not actually. Yes, they're her friends. One's a wife of one of Harry's polo playing chums, and then there's the makeup artist, and there's one or two others who come in. But it all just creates a sort of, and they walk in through a door and go, hello, hello. It's just, no, it's been staged. Some producer says, action. In you walk. She's been there for an hour. It's so unscripted. What we wanted to see was, why not be in their kitchen where there's probably stickers on the fridge, drawings from the kids. You would see a degree of
actually, the truth is there probably isn't, because she's probably so far removed from the reality that you're talking about. I mean, I've always believed, and listen, we all get criticised for many things in our lives, but to me, it's another example of trying too hard. I don't give a toss about her plate of fruit or her cake. I've said it from day one. I really respected them when they said we don't want to be in the bubble. I then stopped respecting them in any way when they said we'd like to $100 million to us, we slag off the very thing that we don't want to be part of. I'm not interested in her poxy programme. Sorry, I've used the wrong word. I mean, ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Can we please move on to the Cheltenham Festival? I'd rather, honestly, and now she's got her dog. Look at all of her friends. Ooh, lovely, have a cup of tea, you pure honesty I can't be doing with it.
It gets worse at times throughout the programme.
Was it worth the money watching it then? Did you?
Well,
how long did you have to watch it for?
Well, there are 8 episodes of this twaddle. But I'm not. Look, Jeremy, you and I are probably not the target market. So, I think I've seen a good review from Harper's Bazaar, but I think it's been written by the journalist who accompanied them on the trip to Colombia. So she's online anyway.
Yes.
But so there may be people who will like it. It's beautifully put together, as you would expect from an 80-strong production crew. It should be well edited, but it's not what we are about. I never want flower petals. I mean,
Listen to this. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. Jez,
are you going to go home tonight and have flower petals on your food?
How on earth can that woman be in a position to give advice to working mothers? Entitlement at its best. But my favourite comment so far from Crystal Thorne. Meghan is an idiot. Yoghurt for clouds. Everyone knows you use cottage cheese, you bloody amateur. Right.
Well, if you say so, Jeremy. Anyway, Constitution Hill or brighter days ahead.
Right. Listen, Cheltenham there next week, every day. Big day, Thursday and Friday. Bring in the wife. Don't say anything untoward. Bet of the week for me, quickly.
Lucky place each way, Stayers Hurdle.
Really interesting. For me, I don't know. I'll be talking about it next week. There's 2. I've got work to do. I'm not going home to watch Meghan Markle and Harry. Rupert, can I just say you look very smart today in your rugby shirt. My regards to Mrs. Is Mrs. Bell still around, or has she disappeared?
As they say, it is a miracle, but we are still together. But I'm not allowed in the kitchen because she's quite a good cook.
She's not. She's in the kitchen making you a fruit plate with cottage cheese for clouds. Have a good one, Belly.
Also with us is President Prabowo, a very incredible man of Indonesia. President.
Where have we fallen, Great Britain? We're behind Indonesia. Starmer's now looking even. He's off now to find the Indonesian bloke. This is comedy. Let's drag him up and say a few words.
President Abbas of the Palestinian Authority. See, we have them all. We have them all.
Oh, so they've actually thanked Palestine before Great Britain. Brilliant. Gets better.
Good to have you. And so many others. I really have a list here. This first 3 rows and what's standing behind me, I don't know why they chose to stand, but that's there.
Look, Starmer,
they're going to be very
It's
famous
got
tomorrow.
A piece of paper now, Donald. Here we go.
We have the Arab League is
She's
represented by His Excellency, and thank you very much for
He's going to thank my wife in a minute before he thanks Starmer.
We have Armenia.
Yeah.
Oh.
Armenia.
And Azerbaijan.
Oh, Azerbaijan.
That's a little war that we stopped. That's a little war. There they are. Look
do you think they're doing it
when
alphabetically? The United Kingdom is definitely going to come last.
They fought for like 31 years or some crazy number.
Oh, God.
And they had one sitting on that side of the Oval Office, one sitting. By the time we finished in 1 hour, they were both hugging each other. And now they're friends and they're getting along great. Look at it. So I want to thank you both. That's incredible. Really incredible.
Sorry, this is brilliant.
So you have Armenia and you have Bahrain, you have Canada. It's so great to have, in fact,
it's brilliant.
President called and he wanted to know if it's worthwhile. He knew exactly what it was. He knew the importance.
Trump, I tell you honestly, Starmer looks like a schoolboy who's wondering if he's going to win a prize at Prize Day. It's brilliant.
He knew the importance of this. He said, I want to be there. So many people have done that. They called. I mean, they heard about it. And these are not people that can do that very easily. They have pretty big schedules to put it in mind. The most powerful people. And I appreciate you being here very much, Mr. President. Fantastic. Fantastic. And Cyprus.
Oh, Cyprus. Egypt.
The European Union.
Oh.
It's a lot of countries. France. Oh. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Here we go.
I would imagine Emmanuel standing someplace behind me. Where is he? I can't believe it. You're taking a low-key approach today. He's my friend. That's great. Good job. Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Keir?
Germany, the new Chancellor of Germany he's easy to spot because he's very tall.
He's behind you.
He's very smart, and he's doing a fantastic job for his country.
Keir's
Appreciate
getting
it very
excited,
much. And
peeps.
congratulations, a big election. That was a big one. That was going to change things. Greece, we have Greece.
Oh, God.
We have Hungary.
Oh.
Oh, Victor, where is Victor?
Starmer's
Victor,
getting angry
we
now.
love Victor. Victor, I call him. You know, I put the little accent on it. You are fantastic, all right? I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but I'm the only one that matters. You are fantastic. He's a great leader. I endorsed him the last election he had, and he won by 28 points.
Oh, this is
so you're going to do even better this time. If you have another election, and you're going to do great, and we appreciate it. And we're behind you 100%. That's Hungary. India.
Oh, India
is a great country with a very good friend of mine at the top, and he's just done a fantastic job. And I think that Pakistan and India are going to live very nicely together. Yeah. Right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's not a very... They are. Oh. And they're two great, I'd say, leaders, great leaders, as far as I'm concerned.
United Kingdom? No.
Indonesia, we covered, and I just want to say that that's a big country, a powerful country. It does unbelievably well, and it's great to have you. Iraq, we have Iraq.
We're behind Iraq.
Lots of oil. They have so much oil, they don't know what to do with it. That's a big problem when you have so much, you have no idea what to do with it.
It's alphabetical.
So thank you very much for...
But I don't think he knows the alphabet.
Italy.
Oh, Italy.
We have a woman, a young woman who's...
oh, here we go.
I'm not allowed to say it because usually it's the end of your political career if you say it. She's a beautiful young woman. Now, if you use the word beautiful in the United States about a woman, that's the end of your political career. But I'll take my chances. Where is she? There she is.
She's behind you.
You don't mind being called beautiful, right? Because you are. Thank you very much.
You're very beautiful, you are.
Appreciate it. She wanted to be here, and she's incredible. And they
boring
really
his eyes into Trump.
In Italy, she's a very successful politician. We have Norway. Oh, Norway. Norway. What happened, Norway? What happened?
Look at Starmer.
Oh. Where's Norway? Where is he? We have Johnny.
Oh, Johnny from Norway. He's doing well.
Where's Norway? I don't think he wants to stand. Oh, he's back there. Well, we have Norway. Oman. Again. We have Paraguay.
Portugal next.
We have really fantastic representative from Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
thank you very much. I'll tell you what, and this time we'll get you the best seat. He always gets the best seat. He deserves the best seat. But what a great place it is. Spain.
Oh, Spain.
Where's Spain?
It's just next to Portugal, mate.
Are you guys working on him with respect to the GDP? We'll get close. But fantastic job you're doing. And UAE.
Oh, UAE.
Which is great.
We're next.
United Kingdom. Where's United Kingdom?
Behind you.
Where?
Oh, I'm here. Oh, there you are.
Very good.
Oh, Keir's coming forward.
People all came in like 20-minute notice.
Oh, he's come up to speak and Trump sent him away.
Others, and just so many others. And it's such a compliment to what we're doing because what we've done is something very unique and very special. So it's perhaps the wealthiest and most powerful.
Right, cut him now. Cut that. Just stop Trump now. I had to wait for that, people. Honestly, can you please cut that? He waited 15 minutes, Keir Starmer, to be mentioned. And as Trump stood right behind Trump, he goes, where is he? So he turns around and Starmer walks to the lectern and Trump looks at him and sort of go away and turns around and keeps speaking. Starmer looks now as if somebody's put something very disgusting under his nose. Trevor Kavanagh, Trevor Kavanagh, you're on Zoom. Good morning. Matt's in the studio. Are we, I mean, people's lives are not rubbish, but they're not as good as they were. I don't think that means they take it out. I think it means that they look at what they're paying in and think, why? I think we were less willing to moan about it when things were better. That's what I'd say. Trevor, your response to Matt?
Well, look, I don't know where to begin with this, because this has not been going on since 1907, as Matt suggests. This has been going on since Tony Blair opened the floodgates to mass immigration in this century. And as long as we keep calling them asylum seekers, when in fact they're criminally sponsored illegal migrants, we will never solve this problem. If they are asylum seekers, they can claim asylum anywhere in the countries of Europe that they've traveled through in order to get to those tent camps on the border of France. There are ways and means in which you could actually stop the boats, but we will not do so because the human rights laws forbid it. And when they arrive here, even with Shabana Mahmood's uttering these words, which are very welcome to hear, about the fact that this country is being torn apart, I mean, words that you couldn't imagine any Labour minister or even an MP saying until she uttered them yesterday. I think this is a breakthrough only in terms of terminology, because we need to see the results of this. We need to see the proof in the pudding of those boats stopping as a result of actions by this government or any other government in this country. And until that happens, nobody will believe a word the politicians say.
Matt?
I'm always comforted by people who say with such confidence that I'm wrong when I'm not. I'm not right on everything. The idea that we've not been... The first Illegal Alien Act came in 1907.
Talk to him, he's on that camera.
Because there were scapegoats.
That's irrelevant. That's a different era.
Well, it's not, because you're talking about Tony Blair opening the floodgates. Well, listen, I listen to you, Trevor, so you listen to me. Tony Blair didn't open the floodgates, but you forget, pre-Thatcher, 3/4 of the world had the legal right to come here because we had a Commonwealth, and it took years for us to even bother with that. Then it was the Ugandan Indians that came over, and that was a big issue for Harold Wilson. This has always been an issue. It is the blame your neighbour politics. I'm not saying we shouldn't control our borders. We absolutely should. I think it speaks to the actual broken nature of our country and people feeling like their lives aren't in control. However, will these measures work? Yes, in the sense of it will totally normalise the ground for when reform win in 4 years. Labour can either look at things like offshore processing and knowing exactly who's coming here in the first place, because if you get here without telling us, you should be deported. There's no reason why you shouldn't be clear about who you are, and therefore we know people are safe, we know your backgrounds and all the rest of it. This will change nothing for me. I think to say, 20 years, you're not going to integrate people because of that. And that's the issue for lots of people. I don't think this is left or right. This is about values and about coming here and appreciating what the laws are in this country.
Trevor?
Well, going back to the 1907 argument, they weren't arriving here in the numbers that they are today, which is at the moment around 80,000 a year by boat alone. And that doesn't include the many, many thousands who come in by a truck or by other means of transport, including light aircraft. They are paying a great deal of money to come, as you, Jeremy, say, as single young men, no families. They are fleeing their countries for one purpose, which is to establish a toehold here. And once they arrive, they cannot effectively be removed. That is the whole crux of the matter. Once they're here, there's no way of removing them with any satisfaction. And you've already got the human rights lawyers lining up to say they will fight Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary's plan, tooth and nail from the moment it begins.
Ivana Stoliel says, Matt, you're absolutely wrong and I love you. They will stay long enough to have kids, develop health issues, even, I suspect, commit crime to get themselves into a safe and comfortable prison. Any chance to subvert deportation? Tell Matt 1907 did not have the immigration problem we have today. Full marks to Trevor. Sense.
My point is, it's not about the numbers, it's about the fact that we've used
scapegoats. It is about the numbers.
Thank you, Trevor. About scapegoats. That's what it is. And it is constant, whether that has been black Jamaicans, whether that has been Africans, whether that has been Eastern Europeans and whatever else. Two main things that I think, and Trevor can have this if he wants, is win the day, whatever. The reason people tend to come here is because English is the world's second language. If I was fleeing because something happened...
Is it also not because we offer more, Matt? Come on, it can't just be the language.
French social benefits are more generous than ours.
They get a tent. You get a 4-star hotel.
No. With regards to social services and benefits, it's much more generous in France.
So why don't they stay in France?
But again, if you let me have the second point, I would flee to USA or Canada. I don't speak French. If I was going to flee because something happened here, I would not be going to France.
I don't think anybody would be going to France if it were French people.
If you're,
but their numbers are just as bad as ours.
If your life is at stake, you learn a new language, surely. This happened all through history, including Brits moving to other countries. Learning a language is the least problem, and in fact, many people come here who never learn to speak English, especially the women who are banned from having English language lessons.
Which again,
so I think that argument doesn't wash. It is the magnetic lure of our benefits and the fact that we already have huge established communities of people from various countries in the world who have come here illegally. That's the magnet.
People can't claim benefits. People cannot claim benefits if they're refugees or asylum seekers. They get put in upper hotels and get £7 a day. They're all coming in.
They see a doctor and a dentist very much quicker than anybody who's paid their tax gets to see anybody for months.
That's fine. Listen, I'd love to have my teeth done, but I couldn't live on £7 a day.
50 quid a week for doing nothing? And meals on top? Meals on top?
Yes.
In a hotel? But Matt, listen, you're going to laugh at me. But you're going to laugh at me. If I'm working 40 hours a week and I'm paying rent, right, hear me out, and I'm paying for my kids and I'm paying for my bills, there will be people listening to that don't even have £50 left when all of that's done, and they are going to absolutely go, I might be moral and I might not have said anything, but why the hell is my life at this point when I keep saying this, when I'm paying into this, and yet these people seem to come and get more than us. It's not that I'm against that. There will be millions of people in this country saying, I'm 28th in the bloody queue and I'm paying for this. And that's the issue. I've always think that's the issue, that we seem to, out of this moral duty, protect, and I know you're going to hate this, not our own first anymore.
But this is the problem. So therefore, you're not even wrong, Jez. This is the frustrating thing. So why, therefore, are you blaming people for coming if it's so generous and whatever?
I'm blaming the system.
Why are we not blaming the politicians that have never looked after this country for the last 30 or 40 years? This is what infuriates me about this debate. We're blaming the people that are lower on the rung than us on the ladder, or those that are just about getting up to where we are. It is those lot with vague laws that lawyers will lawyer with, because that is their job as human rights lawyers, and judges will infer what they interpret as the law. We do not blame the right people in this country. We didn't have a single banker go to jail in 2008, and they've plunged this country into a crisis for the last 20 years, and we're sat here going, Imran and Ahmed are the biggest problems with me, because it's so viscerally obvious when you're watching the TV. So frustrating with this
Trevor
debate.
Kavanagh?
Well, I just don't know where to begin, Jeremy, with that argument. I mean, the equivalence with the financial crisis is utterly irrelevant. I think Shabana Mahmood was absolutely right to say that the arrival of tens of thousands of people, mainly single, many of them from cultures which are totally alien from the British way of life, is tearing the country apart. It's as simple as that. And you cannot argue about all of the technicalities that Matt has come up with dating back to 1907 and beyond in order to address this problem, which I believe is now beginning to become a serious threat to our civil society and the fabric of that society. And so does Shabana Mahmood, obviously.
Do you think, just very quickly to finish, gentlemen, do you both, you might come from different ends of the spectrum, simple question, we'll start with you, Trevor. Is this gaslighting? Does she believe it? Is it a pitch for the leadership? And do you believe that Labour will be able to crack down on illegal migration?
Well, I think you're right on the first couple. I do not believe that Labour is going to crack down on illegal migration. I think that Shabana Mahmood actually is a very sensible, sane politician. But she is on the Labour side, and she has to put up with the opposition of the overwhelming majority of Labour MPs, many of them with the same view as Matthew, that basically they don't really believe in borders at all. They believe that we should accept all who want to come here, regardless of their qualifications, because the way of the world is that we're moving across continents, and we've simply got to resign ourselves to that fact.
Final word, Matthew. Do you think that Labour, never seen him so angry, do you think that Labour will be able to crack down on illegal migration?
No, because I think this is posturing. Thank you to Trevor for misrepresenting my point as well. I've never said I don't believe in borders. I said totally the opposite, but you crack on for your Monday morning. I don't think it'll shift the dial. I don't think those coming across the channel will compare notes on how long it will take to have citizenship or not. I do think you have to process people before they get here. You have to stop the boats, not deport people when they're here. That's the thing that annoys people.
Well, that was round one. Next Monday at 9 o'clock, round two. This is Talk. Morning. Where are these asylum seekers going to go over the next 4 years? Why is it taking you 4 years? Where are they going to go? Social housing? Are you going to use old military bases? Where are they going to go? And why is your government not appearing in her way today and saying, this is how we're going to stop them coming in the first place, James Murray? We've heard nothing about that.
Well, you're absolutely right that we want to stop them coming in the first place. And one of the things the Chancellor announced as part of the spending review today is more money for the Border Security Command. So that's £280 million extra for border security to stop those boats coming in the first place by helping with all of our efforts on that front. But for the people who are here, for the asylum seekers who are here in hotels, the fact that so much public money is being spent
Where are
on
they
asylum
going to go,
costs,
James Murray? Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go then?
So what we need to do first is get that backlog down. We need to take those decisions so that people are processed in terms of their applications, so that they have to return if they're rejected, and we have a decision on their case. What is really unacceptable is for so many people to be in hotels, which are particularly expensive.
Where are they going to go, James?
Yeah, it really irritates people.
Where are they going to go? Where are they going to go?
The Home Secretary will set out the plan for the next few years and how that will work.
But the Home Secretary's just had her budget cut by 2.2% and her hands are tied, James Murray. You know that. The Home Secretary was on resignation watch.
The reason for getting the Home Office budget down is because of the savings we will make in asylum hotel costs. Now, one of the reasons for having a spending review is so that you can set out plans over a few years, because we know with some of the problems that we face, some of the challenges we face as a country, they're not things you can fix overnight. They're not even things you can fix within 12 months. You need a few years to really solve them.
So you can't tell my viewers...
Asylum hotels is a really good example of it.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Can I just make this one? Can I just make this one? Well, can I just make this one final point on it, because it's an important one. If you've got a plan over a few years, like we have, we've said we're going to invest up front in transforming.
What is your plan? How are you going to stop the boats? How are you going to... OK, stop. Let me have my point. Answer two really simple questions very simply. Where are these asylum seekers going? It's a simple question. And what's your plan to stop them coming here in the first place? That's what people want, James. Where are they going?
Well, some of them will be sent home if their applications are rejected, and we want to bring down that backlog. That's the first duty, and that's what we've been doing since the election last year. And what we're saying is, for those people who are being processed, they're waiting for a decision to be taken. It is unacceptable to be spending so much money on expensive hotel accommodation.
So where are they going to go? Not the some who get deported. What about the not some who are going to still be here or are not going in hotels? It's not a difficult question, James, with respect. Where are these people going?
I said earlier on in our conversation today that there would have to be alternative accommodation for them. But the point with hotels is that hotels are particularly expensive, and it is really, it's really frustrating for everyone as taxpayers to be spending so much money on asylum hotels when there's so many other ways we could be spending money.
I know we haven't got much time. Appreciate your time. The other question from a very frustrated bunch of people is, today you've announced that the UK has agreed a fluid border between Gibraltar and Spain, which will not require checks on people crossing, not if you're Spanish. The government clearing the way to finalise a post-Brexit deal with the EU. Loads of people just ringing up and saying, can you ask this guy how in the name of God this agreement does anything for the best interest of the British people? Because even on the basis of passport showing, we will have to show our passports, the Spanish don't. How does Keir Starmer and your government believe that this deal does anything for the British people?
Well, you mean the deal that we've done with the EU, the recent deal? I mean, the point about that deal is about doing what's in our national interest. What we've done in terms of the deal that the Prime Minister struck with the EU recently is about doing what's in our national interest to help get regulation out of the way, to help our economy to grow, to help make sure that British businesses can export more, to bring down costs at the checkout for people because we take away some of the costs of imports coming into the UK. It's about things which make life easier and better for all of us here. Lower prices at the checkout, making sure that British businesses can export.
The Gibraltar deal, which seems pro-Spanish and anti-English, is going to benefit the national interest in the long run.
Well,
is that what you're saying?
I'm talking about the EU. I'm talking about the EU deal as a whole that the Prime Minister struck, and the reason why it was so important, and the reason why it's for bringing down prices. It brings down the prices when you go into the shops at the checkout. It brings down the costs for British businesses exporting, therefore helping them to grow. And you've got the EU deal, you have the India deal, you have the US deal. We're a government who's serious about working with international partners, working with other countries in the best interests of our economy, and that's what will help get the economic growth, which we spoke about earlier as being so important, which then puts our public finances and public services on a firm footing.
Let's go to, is it Stansted? Nice. Gav, you're on Talk Drive. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, man. How are you?
Not bad for a balding 60-year-old has-been. You've got 2 minutes.
You're looking well on it, man. You're looking well.
Yes, well, can't leave the face.
Well, that's the Botox.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all right, man. Yeah, I was listening while I was on hold. The whole China thing confuses me because there seems to be a problem with the solar panels and the infrastructure and stuff like that with our dealings with the Chinese.
Well, I just see there's everything. I haven't even. You've now alighted something else that I forgot.
And everything you're touching is from China. So what's the problem with the solar panels? Anyway, that's not.
Well, no, the solar panel deal. This is the other thing we should say. Are made by. It's the slave trade. So where? Hold on a minute.
Your strides are made from China.
Yeah.
Your glasses are made from China.
Yeah.
So what's the problem with solar panels?
Well,
they're all coming from the same place, man. If there's slave labour in solar panels, where do you think your strides, your socks, your computers come from?
I haven't got any socks on. How would you describe Keir Starmer's premiership?
Forensic, and that doesn't mean it's good. It's forensic. But yeah, the reason I called, what are you going to do if, and I think when, Reform lose?
You think they're going to lose?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think that because apart from you and the CBeebies channel, whatever that news channel is, everybody else all the adults have grown up. We've sussed it, mate.
All of those have grown up with what?
All the grown-ups have sussed it. It's not even a red herring. It's an orange herring. It's never going to fly. And marriage is just a one-trick pony. He's got no. You keep saying he's got policies. What policies? Name one policy he's got.
What, reform?
Apart from immigration.
Sure. Listen.
What else has he got?
I just said today. What?
What else has he got apart from immigration?
As you heard me just ask David Bull, I said that exact same point, and he pointed out, as he said,
and you both dodged it.
I'm not dodging it.
What's he got? All right, give me 3 policies apart from immigration for
3 policies that Reform believe right now are important.
Yes, please, Jeremy.
Well, he said he'd lower tax.
Yeah, right. So that's just a platitude. All right, next one.
But hold on a second.
Every political party says they'll lower taxes. That's just standard.
Shall I tell you why Farage works? And I'm not saying...
because he's a sleazy liar.
Sorry?
That's why he works.
What did you say?
He's a sleazy liar. That's why he works.
Who's a sleazy liar?
Farage.
Why?
Because he lies and he's sleazy.
Well, now, hold on a second. We'll turn the tables. Tell me what he's lied about.
Everything.
Well, you're doing what you accused me of, and I gave you a thing about tax, and you said everybody says that.
I'll give you examples. All right, about this thing about he went on a bus and he didn't hear a single English voice. Cobblers. Number 2, he's married. Oh, actually, no, he was married to a German lady. He's now, he's got a French girlfriend.
Yeah?
So what's all this stuff about, we've got to get them all out of here? when he's bringing them all in here anyway.
Did he say he wanted to get them out of here? Let me ask you a question, if you let me get this out, right?
Yeah,
so when people who have a different view, like you, and I'm delighted that you've rung, think that the words...
Yeah, it's all cool.
When people... Let me speak. When people like you say that reform is a one-trick pony, and I'll take that point, I take it and I put it to David Bull, right? What I will ask you is this. Do you believe that the things that he say do not resonate with people, however unpalatable it might be to certain sections of this country, as, and I've used the example every day, Trump is as well in America. Do you not think that so much of what he says is right? Do you think it's acceptable that scrote yesterday who threatened to kill Nigel Farage will serve 5 years in jail and be out? I haven't finished speaking and will be out after 2 years. Are you happy with what's happening? What?
You're changing the point deliberately.
I'm not changing any point.
Yes, you are.
Are you happy with the country you've got?
That's not my question.
Are you happy with the country you've got?
I'm not happy with the country that reform would create, because you had a spokesman for reform earlier.
You've just done it again. Are you happy with the country you've got?
Yes.
You are?
Yes.
So you're happy for old people to live in cold homes, yes?
Rhetoric, mate. That's just rhetoric. That's not how it is.
So do you know any old people who have had their heating allowance taken or not?
Reform.
Do you know any veterans who live on the streets? Do you know any veterans?
People frightened. It's textbook, mate. You don't get anywhere.
I don't think that any political party will get the traction that reform is getting unless people by their millions in this country are hacked off with the lies that have been told. And do you know what you are? You are the reason this country's on its arse. Do one.
No, it's not, pal.
Bye. Push the button. This is difficult for me. Meghan and Harry, I find this, I feel like there's going to be a little bit of sick in my mouth as I try and describe this, because fresh from repeatedly telling us that they were escaping the United Kingdom because they wanted privacy, they hated the press, they hated everything to be involved in the intrusion in their lives, and then they had their little children and the feral children and they left them with the chickens, and all she does now with her jams that are crap is post pictures of her children left, right and centre, which has me always thinking, well, hold on a second, you duplicitous woman, how does that make any sense? But we've now reached a point where I possibly am going to be sick live on the television. Meghan Markle has posted a cringy video of her and Prince Harry dancing in a hospital room. This is we're playing it. She's waiting for she's twerking with the baby to try and make the baby come. This is to induce Lilibet's birth. She's dancing in front of the camera. Oh, God, it looks like a lap dancing club with pregnant women. He's also dancing in front of the camera. She's got a black dress on. She's literally holding her bump and twerking, and she's put this on social media. The woman is... that's getting worse now. She looks like she's performing.
Well, JK, the lyrics are prego, but I'm still doing moves like Beyonce. Yeah, I said I'm pregnant. Get the child support and pay my rent. Your opinion is irrelevant because I'm a baby mama. I can do what I wanna. That is the song she's dancing to about getting that child support.
Sorry, you got it. I'm sorry. The greatest moment in British. Just do that. Just do that again. Jodie is on the floor, which hasn't been the first time. Just do again what you just said. This is what she's dancing to.
Prego, but I'm still doing moves like Beyonce. Yeah, I said I'm pregnant. Get that child support and pay my rent. Your opinion is irrelevant because I'm a baby mama and I can do what I wanna.
My God. Is it me? Is it me, or is there nothing this woman... Is she ever going to get to the point where she literally looks in the mirror and goes, nobody's interested in my jam or my life, nobody likes me, shut the hell up?
I mean, this is oversharing. She had the chance to be seen as elegant, elusive, and powerful, the kind of woman people lean in to hear. Yeah. But instead, we've heard everything. Every grievance, every private conversation, every subtle slight turned into a headline, from Oprah to Spotify to Netflix, to staged whispers in People magazine. It's been non-stop. The Worldwide Privacy Tour on South Park, it's come to life. life. That's what we're witnessing in this hospital room right here.
I mean, that's the point. It was all about privacy. It was all about how they were in this goldfish bowl and how the British press, but in fact the world's press, were out for nothing other than to destroy them and to make them feel like allegedly Diana felt in the end. All of this, that was what the escape was about. And I've said it so many times it bores me. I got it at that point. You know, when they got on that plane, I got it. But the minute you sign a $100 million deal with Spotify and now you're posting yourself twerking, oh, this is getting worse, this video. She's getting lower by the minute. He's now playing with his groin. I think there is now sick, essentially in my mouth. There is a little bit of sick just at the back. Oh my God, this is horrific. Go online and watch this. Duchess...
Don't do it. Why are you telling people to, not unless you're a masochist? I mean, you're right. What made Princess Diana so unforgettable wasn't just her vulnerability. It was the restraint. Yeah. I mean, she chose moments. Meghan shares like she's live tweeting a breakup in real time. There's no pacing, no sense of occasion. No. And when you constantly overshare, people stop listening. You dull your impact impact. Oversharing doesn't build trust. It erodes credibility, and it makes people question what's real, what's curated like this, and why there's always another bombshell around the corner. And what's worse, it makes her predictable. You know she's going to say something or do something dramatic. You just don't know which platform she's going to monetize it on. Mystery is power. Look at the royal family. And Meghan gave all of hers away, one interview at a time.
It's really interesting what you say, and I'll tell you why I agree. You know what my old man did. He worked for the Queen Mother for 41 years. And he said, and I've never forgotten this, that the mystique of the royal family died with the Queen Mother, and that all of the royal family, to a degree, were responsible for using the media and using social media to achieve whatever they were trying to achieve. And he included Diana, and he included Prince Charles, and he included Sarah Ferguson, and all of them in that. In the old days, we didn't know. Of course, the British monarchy had to modernise, and I get that. But there's one word that keeps coming back to me about these two. It's about privacy. They've been to court. They've spent millions of, well, probably taxpayers' money talking about privacy. And now we've got a video of her twerking in a black dress with a lump. I mean, I'm not just don't watch it, but it's revolting. Her ass is it's everywhere. But what I'm trying to say is, how does anybody take that seriously? And if you step back as I do, like a royalist, that's a princess. That's not a princess. Oh, that's not a duchess. I mean, that's a disgrace.
Serious. Royal life isn't just about tiaras and tabloid covers. No. It's about diplomacy, duty, and deference. It's a system built on nuanced protocol and deep-rooted cultural history. Meghan entered this world like it was a Hollywood set, assuming she could rewrite the script, center herself in every scene, and edit out anything that didn't fit her narrative. You know, royals are trained to master understatement. Look at the Princess of Wales, Catherine. Meghan has always preferred oversharing. You know, and then there's etiquette, or in her case, the lack of etiquette. She approached royal traditions like they were beneath her, when in fact, those traditions are the job. And I just want to stress, for the record, being an American isn't the issue, because Grace Kelly married into royalty and became a symbol of poise. Absolutely. Meghan had the opportunity to be a modern princess with real influence. Instead, you know, she's used it to prop up her own personal brand.
I couldn't agree more. And just to finish, because God, it's so good to speak to you, and I can't wait to see you next week. I've asked you this every time we speak for a reason. Where does this all end in your mind, Kins?
My gosh, where does this? I mean, I think that they're going to do another reality show. I think that they are going to have to break down and continue to spill, because I don't think that any of their commercial ventures are working. But this is not the way. This is not the path. I think she's being completely destructive to her own brand.
I think they split within 12 months. They are. I say he comes back to the United Kingdom, as I've said on numerous occasions, with his ginger tail between his legs. I think she won't ever be able to come back to the United Kingdom. But listen, it's just fascinating. I mean, you have to watch the video just if you want to be sick. If you're feeling like you need to throw your dinner up, go and watch the video online. Kins, when am I seeing you?
On Wednesday.
OK, I'm going to buy you a drink or three. Lots of love. Fly safe. I am so up for today because never before have I seen a British Prime Minister look like he was on the naughty step. But I saved my favourite clip for you, J.E. He doesn't think much of the London mayor. This is Donald Trump on Sadiq Khan. Have a watch.
I'm not a fan of your mayor. Why not? I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But a nasty person. I think he's done. I think he's a friend of mine, right? No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah. Well, I like Nigel. I mean, Nigel, as you know, is a friend of mine. Nigel's done very well. He's a friend of mine.
Honestly, Jack, have you ever in your political career seen a British Prime Minister be schooled by an American president in his own country? Starmer looked at even that sort of, he's a friend of mine, didn't wash. It was unbelievable, wasn't it, man?
I mean, both toe curling and box office in equal measure, I think is how you would describe it. I mean, Trump, telly man, apprentice star, he knows how to pull the viewers in, no matter what you think of him. Look, I think on the wider points, I do actually think that Trump is being very nice to Starmer. He says that, you know, he's a good friend, that he's doing a good job and the rest of it. However, I don't think that you can take anything away from the pretty pointed advice he dished out to our Prime Minister today in his own country. Slash immigration, cut taxes, get a control of crime. That is how you win elections. And that is the only way if you want a hope in hell of beating my friend Nigel Farage, as you called him. And that is how you do it. And I think that that echoes what most of the public at the moment are thinking. That is being borne out in polls. And Donald Trump on the steps of his clubhouse earlier made some really interesting points. He's not totally, I'm sure, up to speed about what's going on in the UK, but he can see in Europe that the immigration crisis is, in his words, ruining a continent, a magnificent part of the world, as he says it, but which is being very different and feeling very different to what it was 5-10 years ago. And I think, you know, Donald Trump, people have all sorts of opinions about him, but he has got his finger on the electoral pulse. That is why we managed to win 2 elections. He won the last election against all the odds. And he has proved, to be fair, that he has put his money where his mouth is on the border issue. You know, immigration, illegal immigration, one of the massive defining issues of the last US election. Trump said he'd fix it. And to be fair, border crossings on the southern border are right down.
But why does it? My point is this: you do this for a living, right? And I've sat here every day and said this, and I'll say what you say. There is some things about the orange man, baby, I don't agree with. But explain this to me. At a time, 2025, when we're heavily in debt, where it seems that our public services are on their backsides, when we seem to have people in this country who are not escaping war-torn countries, are taking advantage of systems that make it easy for them to the detriment of their own people. Why do we not have politicians? And people will say to me, oh, Westminster, why don't we have politicians with the bluster, with the front, with the honesty, with the decency and with the crudeness, if you like, of Donald Trump, who can cut through in one interview in a clubhouse of a golf course in Scotland and address possibly 4 or 5 things, as you said, that the majority of people in this country are going, hold on a minute, we haven't suddenly become thoughtless and heartless, but I can't see a doctor, I can't see a dentist, I've been a farmer all my life, I'm a waspy woman, I'm a veteran, my taxes are going through the roof. I'm a shopkeeper. My shop gets burgled and the police don't turn up. All of these people must be looking at that and going, how can he from another country be that on message and our own politicians can't yet? That, for me, is the point.
Yeah, because he speaks the language of normal people. And yes, he's not incredibly polished, but what's the point in someone who's very polished and robotic and tells you that we're smashing the gangs and we're getting a hold on illegal migration, when people can see that you're doing the exact opposite? And I think that, you know, he might not be the most slick politician in the way he delivers his answers. But I think that people actually appreciate the fact that he's probably speaking from the heart, and he's saying what most people are thinking. And you can have Keir Starmer stand up and say that he's smashing the gangs and he's signing returns deals and deals with other countries, as he did today. But most of the voters in this country can see the numbers. They can see that channel crossings are up 50%. They can see that, hotels are up since the last election in terms of the amount of people in it, and then they're sick to death of it. Now, I do think that Keir Starmer has done well to make inroads with Donald Trump. I think many people thought that it would be incredibly awkward for him, and it has been on many areas. Obviously, we've had net zero, wind turbines brought up today. We saw the London mayor, stuff about illegal migration. He has done well to cozy up to the president, but it's pretty remarkable when you see these world leaders, the sort of enormous deference they show to Donald Trump when he comes in, because when he comes into town, he's really the only story that counts. And you often see this with world leaders. It happened to Ursula von der Leyen yesterday, the European Commission president. It's happening to Keir Starmer today. Those press conferences, they're not equal measures. No. They're not sort of equal billing. It is the Trump show, and everyone else is basically eclipsed by that.
Do you agree with John in Norwich, who says that Keir Starmer looked like he was sitting there having a hemorrhoid attack with no soothing cream? I think that's quite a good description. Jack might laugh. Yes.
Very good. Well, he clearly disagrees with a whole host of things, which Donald Trump is saying. He clearly sits there in silence while Donald Trump goes on about how he hates wind turbines and how the UK needs to use the resources beneath our feet. He said that Aberdeen was the oil capital of the world. Many people would agree with him. Donald Trump tries to walk a tightrope in not offending the president, but sort of meekly goes, oh, we're going to be moving to clean energy. It's just very awkward for him at the moment because he wants to try and suck up to Donald Trump. And to be fair, I think that he's probably right to get in his good books. America is the most important country in the world in terms of the economy, in terms of its military. But in terms of the awkwardness, it is clearly there and quite palpable that Starmer does not come at things from the same position as Donald Trump. I mean, having said that, to be fair, I do think that it's probably quite a wise thing to say, listen, we don't come from exactly the same worldviews. We've got different political perspectives, but hopefully we can do business.
Mate, this is a bit weird, isn't it? All those years ago, you would be standing at a political conference and I'd be in the studio. How are you? What a day. It's been bizarre.
I feel like Yvette Cooper. I feel like Yvette Cooper. I've been moved in my role. I'm here, you're there. You're the Shabna Mahmood of the situation.
Let me tell you something. Come here. I've got Peter Cardwell.
Who have you got?
Close protection security. Look.
Wow.
How about that?
Goodness me. Is he behaving himself?
Anyway. Interesting day. I think when we woke up this morning, a lot of the journalists last night were saying we're heading back to London because of Angela Rayner. Have you held a moment's silence for our Ange? Are people devastated who listened to talk that a woman who lived by the sword had to die by the sword? Goodbye, love. I'm only interested in one thing. When she left Downing Street in the ministerial car, did she go to Hove or Manchester, Peter Cardwell? Where did she go?
Well, maybe she got her BFH, a bus fare home. You never know with Angela. Certainly she's gone to the back benches. She has lost her jobs and she's lost a lot of money as well, actually. The reaction, I would imagine, in Birmingham has been jubilant, I would imagine.
Well, it was interesting because, of course, the whole day was lined up. Nigel Farage was going to do his speech at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. A decision was made when it became readily apparent that the letters had already been exchanged and Rayner was on the way, that he would bring his speech forward. So everybody was caught a bit short, so he was on air, I think, on stage between 1:15 and 2. He brought Nadine Dorries out. An astonishing atmosphere, I have to say here. Thousands of people that really seem to feel a vibe and a moment, and there's real energy in the hall. Honestly, I'm like Challenge Annika without a yellow suit. I've been walking around, I've been on buses, I've been in burger vans, I've been outside, I've been absolutely everywhere. But overall, on a serious note, there's a real feeling, I think, that the reform, I mean, when Nigel Farage was speaking earlier, and I spent some time with him today, he said this government could fall. It could fall if they go cap in hand to the IMF because we're skint. It could fall because, I mean, you wonder about Rayner, you wonder about that horrible woman Lucy Powell, you wonder about them on the back benches. We know how vulnerable Keir Starmer is, and I heard your last part where they were saying, it's a reset. It's not a reset, it's shifting around of the same people into different roles. The guy who lied about being a solicitor is now the chief whip. Why would anybody listen to him? And if David Lammy can be the deputy prime minister when he can't even buy a fishing rod licence when he goes fishing, I would put, and he's the Justice Secretary, he'll have to jail himself, Pete. Jail himself.
It's a very good point. I mean, much reaction there, I'm sure, to what Nigel Farage has been saying about stopping the boats within 2 weeks. That's a very bold claim. How's it gone down in Birmingham?
Well, of course, it's gone down with the faithful of reform in a very positive way. But I think the one thing that I've taken from it today is, and we talk about this on the show and talk a lot and across the day, is that the British people, I think, have reached a moment where they're not interested in squeaky clean politicians who don't turn out to be squeaky clean, who make promises and only respond when they've had it written down by a focus group. This is a man who's obviously done it for a long, long time. Love him or hate him. And there was an article over the weekend, Peter, that made me laugh when Farage said, they'll come for me now. We got 35%. They'll come for me now. They'll accuse me of being, a drinker, a gambler, a womanizer, and I smoke. And he went, so I have. That doesn't make me a bad politician. I think the British people, led by the people in this auditorium, auditorium are thinking to themselves, right, listen, we've seen the Tories, we've seen Labour, we've seen mistakes and failure and resignations and all that. Why wouldn't we consider people who perhaps have been successful in business? Yeah, of course they talk all the language. We can sit there and go, would he be able to destroy the blob? Would he be able to do all of those things? There's a real energy in the building. It was interesting to speak to people from Epping. It was interesting to speak to people. I interviewed a policeman who was injured after 20 years service and is in a wheelchair, and he's fighting for reform because he believes the police have been neutered by this government.
And that's a big issue.
Cross-section of age as well is a real thing, young to old. There really has been a massive sort of different series of ages on show today. But yeah, it's an interesting.
I'm really interested.
Can't find Mike Graham anywhere.
I'm really interested. You mentioned Nigel Farage and the fact that he is a genuine person, and many people feel that he connects. And that was the problem with Angela Rayner, wasn't it? She presented herself. She said, "Look, I'm a working class mum, and I just am who I am, and I don't talk properly. I talk proper," and that's the way she was. But then, of course, when you become the Deputy Prime Minister, when you have an income of 200 grand plus, when you have 3 homes, and then you fail to play by the rules that everybody else is playing by, well, that creates a huge problem, doesn't it, Jeremy?
Of course, and you know, when the Tories rightly fell, I think all of us who were proud of being British were hoping that this government would do what was right and go, do you know what? It is about working people. You would have to say a year in. I mean, bloody hell, phase 2 was Monday.
Yeah.
It's
Are we
Friday,
in phase 3?
we're on to phase 3. And the truth is about Nigel Farage, and he might well be the next Prime Minister. He might not. Obviously, here at Reform, everybody believes that is the case. But I think here's a man who is from a personal point of view, what he did with our late great friend James Whale, what he did in going down and taking the one day he had off a week to spend time with James before James tragically passed, to me personally says a lot about Nigel Farage. Now his critics will line up and say, oh, you're saying you'll take on the blob, you'll do this, you'll do that. I actually believe he's the person who will actually try and do it to the best of his ability. Whether that works or not, I don't know, but I think we are tired of platitudes and excuses, and you look at that Labour reshuffle and you just made it brilliantly. It's the same faces. There's no new blood. There's no new politicians. And I just think that most people in this country are going, do you know what? I'm doing everything right, and these people are not listening to me. And I think today what I got from this conference more than any other time is that actually, you know what? He's managed to grasp, as I keep saying, what the British people care about, and he's running with it, and it's working. And I didn't get a Mars bar from Richard Tice.
Well, that's very disappointing, and a real failure, I think, of reform. What's happening tonight and tomorrow, apart from you possibly getting a Mars bar from Richard Tice, because you're going to be there right throughout the conference, aren't you, Jeremy?
That didn't sound right, did it? Getting a Mars bar from Richard Tice. Tonight, believe it or not, just to prove that tonight is the party, and obviously I won't be partaking in that. Obviously, you know I don't drink.
Your body is a temple, Jeremy.
My body is a temple, and many have worshipped. No, don't start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish here, go home, go for a run, have some salad, and then go to bed. No, I'm going to party and drink lots of red wine. And the same tomorrow. We're doing lots of inserts from across the auditorium, lots of interviews, lots of stuff. Another speech from Nigel tomorrow, more guests. But I have to say the people have been incredible. Interesting to see it, Pete, from my point of view, because I'm always sat where you're sat, and you're out here getting all the fun. You see behind me where it says bar.
You've been there.
Can I go there now or what?
I think you probably can go there.
No, I'm about to go. Can I go?
You can.
Would it not be fair to say the Tories would not be languishing in third place, suffering in the eyes of the public as they are? What you and James Carter have done is absolutely spot on. But I made a point yesterday, I'm sure you didn't like it, but where's Kemi Badenoch in all this? Still we hear nothing, and yet you, quite rightly, doing your job and doing it to the best of your ability. It's a relevant comment. Look, I know it's difficult for you, but it's true. I had somebody say to me last night, God, he was spot on, but I've heard nothing from her. I know she's your boss, but I think it's relevant to people. They want that. They want the opposition to be holding the government to task.
Well,
Jeremy, I've had tougher interviews than someone very kindly saying me and my boss are doing a good job in Parliament. So thank you for that.
It's true.
For the record. Look, Kemi holds Starmer to account every Wednesday at Prime Minister's Questions. She'll do it again tomorrow. Now, everybody can do Prime Minister's Questions better. You go down the pub and it's, I would have asked him this. I mean,
it's not that.
People who think it's easy want to go try it.
No. I'm not. Listen, I'm not saying that that's easy. I am absolutely agreeing with you that this is a point of order that the government have blatantly made a mistake in and they need to be brought to task. What I'm saying is that shines a light to me, told you before, ex-Tory voter who turned to Reform. You said yesterday, and I'll put it to Richard Tice later on the show, you said nobody in Reform is there. They don't have a defence spokesman, they don't care. I'm going to put that to Richard Tice later. Hand on
heart.
They
weren't there again today either.
OK, but my point is, and I will ask you this.
We were debating a thing called the Armed Forces.
If I bet you any money, if Reform had been the opposition yesterday, the entire party led by Farage would be battering the Labour government. What I'm saying is that surely you and James Cartledge are actually a mirror at which other people in the Tory party should be looking at and saying to themselves, yes, we've made mistakes and yes, we've apologised, but if we are ever going to get back to a position where the British public want to listen to us more than trust us or vote for us, you have to be vocal like this. That's why I wanted you back, because I think it's excellent. I think you're holding the government to task over something that they have blatantly lied about, and that is surely absolutely the right and the job of Her Majesty's opposition.
Well, I think Mel Stride's done a great job of holding them to account on the economy.
Yep.
I think Priti Patel's done very well of holding them to account on this bonkers Chagos deal. We might come back to that if we've got time. So it's very kind of you to say James and I are pulling our weight, but so are other people in the opposition, to be fair.
Is your boss? Is your boss?
Yes, I think she is, and I think she'll be doing that again tomorrow.
My son's speech day last year, I've told the story before, they employed somebody from the BBC, Andy Zoltzman, he does a Today programme sort of quiz. And he was paid a fee to come and talk to the kids. There were 1,000 people in a tent, parents and all. And for the first 3 minutes, Malcolm, it was funny. And then he literally looked at the kids and said, you have been let down by your parents. They voted against Brexit. They voted trans issue. I mean, I literally would have walked, but everybody would have looked. And we came out, I told this story some weeks ago, and the headmaster said, that was good, wasn't it? And I thought it was absolutely appalling and one-sided. I thought it was indoctrinatory, and I think it was an absolute disgrace. And he looked shocked. I worry what schools are doing. Would that be fair?
Oh, from schools to broadcasters to the health service, institutions all over Britain were captured over a decade ago by lobby groups, completely partial lobby groups. There's a clue in the word lobby, like Stonewall. They took them over, and nobody said anything at the time, but their ideas of these lobby groups percolated through these institutions, and it's now taken for granted by the liberal great and good that it's a good thing to tell kids that they might be trans, they might be born in the wrong body. I mean, over a decade ago, if you told a child that they might be born in the wrong body, you would quite rightly be called out, because that's a terribly unhealthy thing to say to a child. But I think it's great that the Telegraph has this article about the parents group, because I think the BBC is desperate to move on. Tim Davie and the head of news said that they apologised for the Trump edit, and that's what the BBC wants to focus on. It wants to focus on this apparent one-off, because that's easy. They can just, that's water off a duck's back. The really big issue is the one that this letter is about. It's about a decade-long indoctrination of the public on our dime. I mean, we pay for the BBC, and yet the BBC entered this arrangement with Stonewall, and they agreed that the output of the BBC would reflect the values of Stonewall. I mean, I was involved in 2021 in complaining, along with the Bayswater group, these parents, about a BBC Schools video that actually told kids there were more than 100 genders. Now, this is ludicrous, and this video went through some of them. There were pansexual, this was to primary school kids. You could be queer gender. I mean, what does queer gender mean to an 8 or a 9-year-old? Absolutely outrageous. And eventually they withdrew that Schools video, but the BBC press left a press release, complained that it had been misrepresented. Their work was being willfully misrepresented. I don't know how you can misrepresent a video that tells kids there's more than 100 genders. So that's going on all the time, and all the BBC output reflects this same sort of jargon, this nonsense, and this idea that you cannot change sex. That's a fact. And if the BBC tells parents, the public, that people can change sex, that in itself is a lie.
I mean, I look, I've got 6 kids. I do my absolute best. I mean, do you remember the Tavistock debacle? I mean, I think one of the biggest and most disgusting... We've talked about the infected blood scandal, quite rightly. We've talked about the post office scandal, Sustain. Giving children puberty blockers for years, and nobody thought that that was sheer madness. The over-sexualisation of our kids. Kids are incredible, they're a pain, they're brilliant, they're annoying, all those sorts of things. But you do sit and you do think as a parent, and even a sane human being, what is behind this madness? Why have we got to a point where, look, you say it to them and they go, well, that's my normal. Right, fine, but what about my normal? No, your normal's outrageous and homophobic and racist and far right and disgusting, and you should be cancelled and trodden into the earth, and Churchill caused every problem in the world and I think you should die. I mean, that's how it feels. And yet, if you strip back the way this has just conditioned people... I have a daughter who's at university, and she said, it's extraordinary what they're told. They were told in one lecture that the British Army and the British government has caused every world war in the world. It's all our fault. No, but you laugh, but you think to yourself, well, if they're telling students that, who are setting up their pro-Palestinian camps, they march, don't they? Only during the term they go home to their parents' houses in Mallorca. It's a bit like those Just Oil activists. And then you tell 6-year-olds you could be transgender because you get muddy. I literally at 60, not fear for our future, but I am turning into my dad every morning, and I make no apology for it. I can't have it, and I'll fight it forever. I think it's wrong. I really do, Malcolm. I think it's disgusting.
Oh, the connection between everything from the anti-Israel stuff to the Just Oil to the net zero and this trans stuff, they're all connected by these fringe far-left groups who despise anything that is normal, that is stable, that involves stable families and living, respectful lives and paying your taxes. It's a sort of, and I don't, the trans stuff has been seized on because it's seen as a way of disrupting the family and normal society. And obviously, if you tell children that they are another sex or they've got 15 genders within their body, it disrupts their sense of reality and their ability to judge what is reality. And I think I've always said that there's only one group of people who would really like to keep children in their prepubescent bodies. And I'm convinced that a lot of the agitation for puberty blockers is based on, we've banned organisations like Paedophile Information Exchange. It would be illegal to set up an organisation that promotes paedophilia. But it's seen as normal for these giant LGBTQ groups to promote the idea that you should medically keep children from maturing in their own bodies. And that's the sort of thing that Pi would have loved 20 years ago. I'm convinced that the people that used to be in Pi are involved in some of these LGBT organisations, because nobody but them would want to keep children from maturing in their own bodies.
And what I find so astonishing as well, from a sort of a viewpoint of watching this, right? Do this, but just listening to this argument is, obviously I come from this sort of common sense angle, right? But when you try and have a debate with any of these people, you just can't. And I've always believed that healthy debate, as we try here, pros and cons. Everybody has a right to an opinion in democracy. That's where people come. But I just don't get this closed mind, I'm right, you're all weird, you all need to be cancelled. Listen, I fear for our kids' future. You need to make a documentary on it. I'm always available. Malcolm Clark, thank you very, very much indeed. Documentary maker with the Substack. Really? Is that where you're going to get your morning roll? Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world whereby I think that talk has become one of the leading vehicles for common sense. We've been talking about it for years, long before I came here. We talk every day about things that seem to make perfect sense to us, but to the rest of the lefty world, or those on the left, they think that we're a nightmare. Gary Neville, let me give you Gary Neville, a man who eked out an incredibly successful football career at Manchester United, played 85 times for England, and has built a portfolio of properties in Manchester, has got into media, was a crap football manager, didn't last long at Valencia, but has made a fortune, cynically on the back of his mate David Beckham, but he's made a fortune, 70 million quid he's worth. Gary Neville, a.k.a. Gary Lineker Mark II, thought it would be a really good idea over the weekend on his Insta thing or whatever, I don't know, Twitter, twat or whatever, What, LinkedIn, is it? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Anyway, this is what the idiot Gary Neville said. Pin back your lug holes and don't get too angry. Go.
Driving home from Salford City last night, I was driving out to Salford City, going down a Littleton Road, seeing 60, probably 50 or 60 Union Jack flags, and I just kept thinking as I was driving home last night that we're all being turned on each other, and the division that's being created is absolutely disgusting, mainly created by angry middle-aged white men who know exactly what they're doing.
I'm sorry, I just, and I know I tell you every week I'm going to come here and I'm going to be calm. We're being turned against each other, mainly by angry middle-aged white men who deem it OK to put up flags. And he then went on to say that he owns several buildings in Manchester where he's been building for 15 or 20 years, and he saw one the other day and he took it down. So disrespectful does he think it is? I'd love to know your thoughts on this. I'm not going to sit here and say stick to football. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But entitled's the word I want to give you, right? Why am I surrounded by people like Neville who have made millions on the back of working class people, people they're supposed to represent, people they're supposed to respect? Does he actually believe that middle-aged white men raising flags is causing division in this country? I said to Ian, and I'll say to you guys now on this show, 3 hours after those poor Jewish people on Yom Kippur were murdered by that terrorist called Jihad, make up your own lines for God's sake, shouldn't have been in the country, but there we go. A protest march not 3 hours later, not a mile away, with people waving Palestinian flags and shouting obscenities. But Gary Neville wouldn't mention that, would he? No, but if you stood up and you went, I think it's disgraceful that these people are marching and inciting violence, people like Neville would go, oh, this is unfair. But it's all right to attack middle-aged white men. I'll tell you what, Gary Neville, right? Do two things. Take your fortune and give it to every immigrant and every group that you think isn't treated well in this country. Do that, but you won't, will you? Or go and live somewhere, you numpty, where there are immigrants on the streets and where your teenage daughters might not feel safe, rather than behind the gates of your massive mansion in Cheshire. I think it's an absolute outrage. I don't know what you think. Meghan Markle. Let's just, if we can, I'm sure you've seen it 575 times, let's remind ourselves of what Meghan yesterday, because as you said, you expect bland telly, goes straight in and slags the Royals. This, ladies and gentlemen, is about tights, or as she says, pantyhose.
I'm just being myself. So I think probably it was different several years ago where I couldn't be as vocal and I had to wear nude pantyhose all the time. Let's be honest, that was not very myself. I hadn't seen pantyhose since movies in the 80s when they came in the little egg. That felt a little bit inauthentic, but that's a silly example. But it is an example of when you're able to dress the way you want to dress and you're able to say the things that are true and you're able to show up in a space really organically and authentically. That's being comfortable in your own skin. And that's, of course, had different chapters in my life. But right now, no, I don't feel that I need to prove anything.
Most people know what I think of Meghan Markle. Matt Wilkinson, what do you make of this vacuous, just, I can't have it?
Well, I think that the really interesting thing about that clip is that it's a moment when you see her mask slipping, because for the last 2 or 3 years there has been a very careful PR rebranding of Meghan, where she has not been controversial, she has not been slagging off the Royals, she's not been referring back to any 5-year-old complaints about the Royals the last couple of years. Since the Harry and Meghan show, you know, since Oprah, she's been quiet because they want to rebrand her as this lovely, friendly, airy-fairy, just enjoying life in California. And that interview, if you watch it all the way through, the journalist does a great job about making her feel uncomfortable. And her mask slips there. She can't help but go back to old grudges that she's buried away in the back of her mind that just jump out once you ask her the question. And that she said they're silly examples. They are silly examples. It's about, as you say, pantyhose. But this brings up the whole, if you remember, who made who cry over tights. That's what you immediately think. You know, she
it's all
said
about
that
tights, isn't it? Everything's about tights.
I know, but she also said about vocal. She said that I couldn't be vocal when I was in the royal family.
It's not your job, love.
And this was a complaint that she had all those years ago, that she said she couldn't speak out and, you know, and
But that makes me think she married him so she could speak out, see?
But she hasn't. So since she's moved to California, when has she actually said anything or done anything controversial? She's not. She's just doing a cookery show, making little parcels, making cookies and stuff like that. She hasn't become this vocal, world authoritative leader on big issues that she seems to still hark back to, that claims that she wasn't allowed to as a member of the Royals.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Kinsey made this point yesterday. Who did that interview? Bloomfield, right? Bloomfield. Did I say that right, Bloomfield? Bloomfield, that's a shop. Bloomberg. And interestingly, their sort of financials, quite serious journalism. So it begged a question yesterday. Netflix, who are still paying them money, although I don't think it's as much as it was, what do they think about the fact that she went and spilled her guts, having cultivated this very calm persona for 2 years? How do you think they felt about Bloomberg getting that?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I asked someone who's quite close to this, and they said, we're not in the mood right now. OK, so I don't got to the bottom of it, but I imagine, why would you torpedo your own launch? You know, deliberately or accidentally. Why would you put out this interview?
She didn't actually, because Taylor Swift did, which was utterly fantastic, wasn't it? But no, you're right.
Yeah, well, why would you allow that to happen? And even if you allowed that interview to happen, which elements of it were quite interesting, she did look a bit uncomfortable at times because some of the questions she didn't want to answer.
Yeah.
But why would you start talking about the royal family again, raking up things from 5 years ago? She says she's moved on. We all want her to move on. Why torpedo your own launch? And I was kind of disappointed because I watched that show.
Yeah.
I came away thinking, all right, she's moved on. This is a new Meghan, a new brand. We're seeing what's happening with her. Just let her go and do it. She's uncontroversial. And I'm tearing my hair out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not, because I get to write as a copy about it. But I'm kind of tearing my hair out thinking, why is she doing this again? Why is she bringing up these old issues?
Because she is a narcissist. She is obsessed. All that crap that Piers Morgan took at ITV, honestly, and I was there, Meghan Markle is a player. I believe, and I'm not sticking up for the Ginger Whinger, she's played him. I remember a very senior person in your newspaper. The second word is whipped. I honestly think that she has an agenda, but you're right. I asked Kinsey as well, I love your take on this, a couple of weeks ago, why would Netflix, when everybody, I mean the Meghan with love thing, are we going to show a clip? I don't even want to show a clip about lobster. Ooh, let's cut up a lobster. Harry doesn't like lobster. Couldn't give a toss. If I was Netflix and I was losing money, I said to Kinsey, why are you still, do you think they're still doing it? And she said, because they are being clever. When those two split, they'll be in the box seat to get the exclusive from Meghan. Do you think they're on the split?
Nothing tells me that they're on the split, but I know that obviously they have a lot of stress in their marriage because everything that's been going on the last 5 or 6 years. But nothing tells me, or nobody has told me, that they're on the split. I think it's more timely than you know, some kind of divorce interview. Harry, on his long list, is a Diana documentary, so on his potential list of what they can do on Netflix. So if they just keep Meghan close, indulge her career and everything they need, they can get the big fish, which is Harry maybe doing a Diana documentary or doing more documentaries, maybe when his brother becomes king. That's what they want. So yeah, you're right, they're keeping them both on side by indulging Meghan in every whim.
When William does become king, so much has been written and so much has been said about the anger that he has felt and has kept inside. We know how important family is to him. With Kate, after everything she's gone through, and the boys, and the sweet girl as well. Do you think that William will act decisively against his brother and the narcissistic Duchess of... Who doesn't want to be a Duchess, but she does if it sells books and television programmes. That's what I have a problem with. Do you think that William will forever banish him, or do you think there will be reconciliation? There was talk about reconciliation some months ago, wasn't there?
Do you know what? The 5 years that I've been doing this job solely, anything can happen with the royal family. OK, you can barely predict what's going to happen. I think it would be... I think it would... You're going to disagree with me, but I think it would be over the top, because you never know. You might need Harry in 10 years' time.
For what?
Well, you might need Harry. You talked about him splitting up with Meghan. You know, William's wife hasn't been very well. Things could change, and you might need Harry by his side. To suddenly take away his titles, I think would be a mistake, because you might need him in the family at some stage. I think it would be too brutal.
It's funny because I know that because I lived there, and you know what the old man did. But I know that, you know, every Sunday after school at Eton had finished, he'd go to see Granny and he'd stay there, and I think that William is probably closer to how the Queen saw the monarchy than even his father is. I think there will be a lot more traditionalism, and I think he'll go back. I don't know, maybe you're right, actually. You probably know more than I. But I just, as a royalist, Matt, it sticks in my craw that this couple don't want to be part of something. That's fine, that never worried me. Good luck to you. But then to only use, and you bring that example up here today, Bloomberg, to then only ever get column inches or press coverage by going back to bashing the very thing that sustains their lives, to me is just hypocritical and unfair. Do you know what I mean? I think a majority of Brits don't. I think they both struggle to come back. I mean, he would be all right, but I don't think she can ever come back to this country, do you?
No, every polling suggests that they're the two of the most unpopular royals. They're down the bottom with Prince Andrew. But we do have...
Are they less popular than Prince Andrew?
No, Prince Andrew's at the bottom, then I think it's Meghan,
it's
then
not
it's
going
Harry.
well. There's a house... Do you know this? It's absolutely true. When my parents lived in Somerset, there was a road called Andrews Close, and the locals wanted it renamed after all that. I mean, he's goodbye.
Well, Andrew, yeah, I mean, Andrew's really struggling. He was kicked out, well, not kicked out, but he was banished from Balmoral a little bit earlier this summer than he normally is. So the family normally go to church together. It's always a big display of family unity at Crathy Kirk on the Sunday that's just gone. And Andrew went there a couple of years ago, and oddly he was given a lift by William in the car, which was, there was pictures of it, and it caused a bit of a scene. Andrew disappeared at 6 a.m. that morning. Whereas the rest of the family, William, Catherine, the 3 children, King and Queen, all went to church and put on a full...
You might make a point. Also, this is not putting you on the point, it's just me. Do you think the King's ill?
I think the King's ill. We get told that he's living with cancer.
Yeah.
OK. I had a briefing last October, November time where they said there are some really good advances in medical research, which means that, you know, he can carry on having a full life, and he was going to go on tours, proper foreign tours this year. We know that he went to the one in Italy because I joined him there, and we know there's one planned for October. We don't quite know what it is. So what I say is, yes, he has cancer. Yeah. He's a man in his 70s, like any man in his 70s, but they are confident they are managing his cancer well, and the King won't stop. You know, the King will just carry on. So yes, he's ill, he's got cancer, but, you know, I think they're managing him quite well.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand by. We've been plugging it all morning. It's our new feature, Ring Rob. Push the button.
Ring Rob with Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick on Talk.
He's here. How are you, sir, in that green tie that's becoming famous by the day?
Very good to see you. Good morning. How are you?
The king of car boots. More of that later, Robert Jenrick. Thank you, mate. Really good. So many people. I want to get straight to it. So many people. Asking all sorts of questions. Are you open for this?
Let's go.
Start with Luke in Leicester. In your mind, was it appropriate for Shabana Mahmood to swear in the House of Commons yesterday? I would add the caveat, you've been accused of that. I would also add the caveat, she was very passionate. What's your view?
I like to see passionate people in the House of Commons, and sometimes you have to actually use language that meets the anger and frustration that the public feels. So I don't mind that, to be honest. I'm sick of politicians who are mealy-mouthed, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I said at the beginning, and I've been saying all morning...
there's a time and a place for it, don't get me wrong, and the House of Commons probably isn't the obvious place, but I think you want politicians to show some passion.
I thought it was the most passionate speech, well-meaning speech. The way she took on the Greens, that's my weekly... and the SNP and other people, was really fascinating to watch. I don't think she'll get it through. Sadly, I think it's rhetoric. Where the hell was her boss? But I thought in terms of the performance, it was quite standout, to be honest, and I genuinely mean that. Here's another one. This is from Robert Taylor in Nottingham. Hi, Jez. Question for Rob. If the Tories win the next election, would they cancel VAT on private school fees?
Yes, we've said that very clearly.
Brilliant.
And why? Because it's a tax on aspiration. You know, this isn't going to hurt the richest in society. They can afford to send their kids to wherever it is, Eton, or the sort of finest schools in the land. It hurts middle-class parents who are the ones who are saying, I'm not going to go on holiday, I'll have an older car, you know, I'm not going to move house in order to send our kids to a private school, and that's wrong.
Interesting. Hannah in Gloucester. Would the Conservatives lend their votes to help Shabana Mahmood clamp down on her asylum abusers and get through her announcements yesterday? Kemi Badenoch said you would. Would you support, says Hannah in Gloucester also as well, this £3,000 payment to return home, or is it only certain parts of what she said yesterday the Tories would support?
Look, we support the measures insofar as they're a helpful step in the right direction. But I actually feel sorry for your listeners today because they've heard all this before. They've heard time and again Home Secretaries come to Parliament, dial up the rhetoric, say that they're going to stop the boats, they're going to smash the gangs, they're going to fix this problem, and it never actually happens. All the while, the numbers keep rising. The hotels pop up on everyone's high streets. Billions of pounds get wasted on this crime spirals, particularly sexual crime from people coming from parts of the world with very different attitudes towards women and girls. The truth is this. If you actually want to fix this problem, you've got to detain and deport absolutely everyone who comes here illegally. And you've got to send a very clear message that you will never get to have a life in the UK if you enter our country on a small boat.
Do you not agree with me that they should...
And that is not what Shabana Mahmood... Let me finish this point. That is not what Shabana Mahmood said yesterday.
No.
She will not leave the ECHR.
No.
She won't take on our human rights laws. She's not going to detain and deport everyone who comes here. And she actually said that if you're a bloke in a safe country like France, come on a small boat, claim asylum, and yeah, it might take you a bit longer. It might even take you 20 years, hypothetically, to get full rights to live in this country. But you will get them. That is not the kind of system that I want to see. In fact, when I was in office, I legislated to say, if you break into our country illegally, you will never get the right to claim asylum. That is the system that we need.
So Richard in Norfolk says, do you think it's right that we give failed asylum seekers $3,000 to leave this country?
Well, I want the cheapest, easiest route to get these people out of the country, and if sometimes that means giving them...
But why should we have to give them money, Rob? Well, that's what I don't understand.
It pains me to do that, but if that is the cheapest way to get someone out of the country, well, yeah, absolutely.
Is there any other country in the world? I think this is what's really got people this morning, and this is the crux of the matter, and you know this better than anybody. Energy bills, food prices, everybody's up against it. And they hear on the radio, they see on the telly, we're going to give somebody who illegally broke in $3,000. I said it at the top of the hour, and I understand it's a difficult question, and you'd be accused if you say yes, or how's that going to work? The will of politicians is surely to listen to the people. The people are saying, we, the indigenous population, feel like we're being shortchanged here.
People are
terrible.
People are absolutely appalled by it. Remember the young girl who was sexually assaulted in Epping? And the guy who did that to her was given £500 to not put in some last-minute vexatious claims and get on the flight back to his own country. And her dad said that he felt almost violated by that his money, taxpayers' money, was going to the bloke who'd done this to his daughter. I understand. The system we've got to have is one where no one is being paid this money in the first place. No one's living in a hotel. They are arriving on our shores. They are detained immediately and deported. End of story. No money passing.
What about stopping them coming here in the first place?
Well, that is how you stop them coming here in the first place, because they're all in a place of safety. They're in France. What are they fleeing? Emmanuel Macron?
I completely agree.
Life in France is good.
What do you think? Listen, you were the immigration minister. You've every right to laugh at me. I would get. I've said it to you before. This is a huge boat. I'd recondition it. I'd put it in the channel. I literally would have trained a team of people who can make decisions like that, border force officials, and I would get the Navy to stop the boats and pick the people up and put them. You're not setting foot in the country. If you have proven rights to be here, red carpet, welcome. If not, you're going to a detention centre, and that detention centre is not going to be a hotel. Maybe this sounds outrageous. It's not going to be horrible, but it's not going to be nice, because it will absolutely enable you to send a message back to the people that maybe are thinking of doing the same, that we're not a soft bleeding touch. But even with what Mahmood yesterday said, break in and we'll give you £3,000 to leave. You could go back to your country, give 1,500 quid into a bank and come back again.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
We have to be honest here. What Shaban Mahmood is suggesting is that you can break into our country and you can still claim asylum. It might be a little bit more difficult, it might take you longer to get all of the rights, but you'll still be able to claim asylum. Asylum from what? These are people who are coming from a safe place in France.
Yeah.
I think that is just mad. That cannot be the system.
As is
that we
the
want
500 million we pay the French.
Well, that is a complete waste of money.
I take away their fishing licences. Michael's got a question for you. Morning, Mike.
Morning, Jeremy. Michael from Birmingham. One for Ring Rob. Would consider creating a pool of volunteers, pro bono workers, of which I'd be happy to be one, with the brief of assessing asylum claims. I'm an ex-civil servant, and lots of us be in that position. With a little bit of training, I'd be very happy to give a day or two per week, free of charge. I get through 100 applications a week. You get 1,000 like me. We clear the backlog of applications and review of asylum applications, the dodgy ones, within 6 months, free of charge. And that's a serious suggestion. Take care.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because I guess he's not in the Home Office, because the Home Office wouldn't do that in about a year.
Yeah, look, it's
far too efficient.
It's taken far too long to review these claims. But that isn't, in honesty, the root of the challenge here, because you can make the system as efficient as you want, but all that's doing is, in many cases, granting asylum for these people to live in the UK. Then they're on the social housing waiting list. You've got to stop them coming in the first place. That's how you
couldn't agree more. Loads of response today, Rob. Carol from Merseyside. No, I did that. Hi, Jez. Didn't the Conservatives pay £3,000 each to 2 failed asylum seekers who voluntarily went to Rwanda? I don't know if they had come legally or illegally, but isn't the President already there? It would be great if you could ask Robert Jenrick about this. Do you know about that?
I don't know if they were paid, but yeah, at the very end of the last Conservative government, some people were sent to Rwanda voluntarily to kind of test out the system. Like, I thought that was a complete joke, and I actually said that.
What, Rwanda was the joke?
No, the idea that people would be going there voluntarily. If you remember, I resigned from the last Conservative government.
People need to know this
because
when they criticise. Absolutely.
Why? Well, because I said that the Rwanda scheme just wasn't going to work. It had to be much tougher. You had to leave the ECHR or hive it out completely from the system.
He didn't want to be tough, Sunak, did he? It was another one.
The problem is, you've had a succession of Prime Ministers and Home Secretaries, and Starmer and Shaban Mahmood are just the latest in that line, who will make incremental improvements, do this, that or the other. It's all just at the edges. If you want to fix this problem, you've got to do some pretty tough things. Detain and deport, leave the ECHR, get rid of some of our activist judges, ensure that the system works better. That is the way you fix this issue. And just no one is ultimately willing to do that. And I say, I feel sorry for the British public.
Nothing is sacred in the United Kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. The latest version, the latest show to be fixed with trigger warnings, which basically is just certain people saying, oh, you better not watch this, it's really wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, Doctor Who has now got trigger warnings. Doctor Who is a show. Apparently they are doing the trigger warnings about discriminatory aliens. Mark Littlewood is the director of popular conservatism and freely admits he is a massive Doctor Who fan. Mark, good afternoon, evening, whatever it is. How are you?
Hi, Jeremy. Great to be with you. Yes, indeed I am. And, Jeremy, I've got the particular DVD. It arrived just a few days ago. This is the one that's causing so much concern that needs trigger warnings about. You might notice it's only a PG certificate, though. So
let me explain this, right? So the caution comes on this new 4-part animation. Viewers are alerted to PG-rated The Savages, featuring alien beings and fantasy violence. The British Board of Film Classification also says episodes include verbal references to discrimination, oh shocking, and the discriminatory social structure of an alien society. I'm going to swear, get ready with the thing. It's a bloody programme. What the alien, what the discriminatory social structure of an alien society? The next will tell you that Daleks have got feelings. What the hell's going on? I can't take much more.
Jeremy, I've got bad news.
What?
It's even worse than you think.
Why?
This is a William Hartnell story. He was the first Doctor Who.
Yes.
This story comes from 1966. They've lost the original footage, but they've got the audio, so they've animated it around the audio. The story is about the Doctor landing on an alien planet where there's a high-tech society, and this high-tech society is exploiting the low-tech society next door. The Doctor's on the side of the slaves. He liberates them. He leaves behind his companion to make sure that these two parts of society are united. If anything, it's a woke left-wing story. It's not pro-slavery. It's not pro-exploitation. It's exactly the opposite. And it's a kid's show. It's a family show from 1966. Jeremy, the Doctor Who's been around for 62 years now, and he's come across some pretty weird and...
Sorry, I have to stop you there. You can't say he because that...
Oh, one of them. You're right. One iteration is a she. So the he's and the she's that have been the Doctor.
There, I'll say that. That'll get me
The
saying.
he-she's have come across a lot of weird and insane and bizarre adversaries, but none as weird and insane and bizarre.
And interestingly,
broadcasting film characters.
And interestingly, is that Doctor Who? I mean, it's like Star Trek, isn't it? People are really into it. Doctor Who's viewing figures have plummeted. Woke storylines featuring there was a transgender character, no problem with that. But it's just that everything seems to have been hijacked for some ideological morality, which I never understand. At what point do you think, and you're a Doctor Who fan, you're about popular conservatism, at what point do you think we're going to, as a society, go, do you know what, can I just decide what I want to watch? Do you think I could just, even if you find it offensive, it's like Ricky Gervais is right, they're only jokes. We're all going to die soon, and there's no sequel. If you don't, I mean, I said it for years after what happened to me, if you don't want to watch something, don't watch it, turn it off, for God's sake, but don't, I think, tell the rest of the world what they can and can't do.
You're completely right. I agree with that. And I guess the good news here, sad for Doctor Who fans like me, but the woker that mainstream culture goes, people are turning it off. Yeah. Doctor Who's ratings, since it became more interested in spreading the message rather than telling good science fiction, has seen its viewers, its ratings absolutely fall off the edge of a cliff.
So why wouldn't, right, Mark, why, and I say this about politicians, and I'll say it about television makers. Piers and I have this discussion many times. Why wouldn't, politicians, but in this case, television stations, networks, production companies go, hold on a minute, I might be ticking an ideological box, but people want something. Like, we've sat here today, right, and I totally understand that tariffs are at the forefront of everybody's mind. The fact that it bores the bits off me, I'll do it. But then at 5:30, Ryan says, this is brilliant, Boris Johnson's been bitten by an ostrich, right? And there's a video of him going, oh, God, and we've had story after story of what people have been bitten by, right? Just, you can mix that in. Is that offensive to people who are worried about tariffs? I fear that we become policed by ideology that is so sadly lacking in common sense, and more importantly than that, misses the point of what people actually want.
Yeah, and I think it's even worse than that, that we've got into a position in which we assume absolutely no human being is at all resilient, that anything that
or has a sense of humour,
or has a sense of humour, that anything that might be to their liking is going to put them, might not be to their liking, is going to put them in a position of clinical shock and cause them mental health problems. Just reach for the off button if you don't like it. But what we're seeing in popular culture, I say it's happened with modern Doctor Who now, it's also happened with the catastrophic remake of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs by Disney, is if you are trying to just communicate a woke message to people, they aren't going to tune in. They aren't going to buy cinema tickets. You are going to lose money. So sooner or later, the popular culture market needs to correct that people want good stories, fun, witticisms.
That's what the irony about that.
Occasionally be offensive.
Completely agree.
That's what people want to watch.